Good morning, everybody. My name is Giorgia Mira. I'm 16 years old, and I'm very excited to be here today because this is a great occasion for me to learn from all these wonderful speakers about the social, political, and ecological complexity of this world. In my opinion, we all can learn about the impact of our action on this world, from our teachers, from our family, from books, from the internet. And then we can decide what to do, each of us in every moment of our life, to take care of the world's economy and ecology and a common good. Personally, I started with very simple steps by recycling waste at home and then at school. I tried to involve my schoolmates. In fact, we have now created a group called Revolution, meaning that the change, the revolution we need starts by each of you. At the moment, we are implementing at school the 3R of the circular economy: recycle, reuse, and reduce, finding alternative uses for plastic waste, and we would try to replace plastic bottles with some refillable flasks made of more eco-friendly materials. We are also thinking about how to be more responsible with the food. I live in a region in the south of Italy named Puglia, which produces a wide range of healthy food. So, at least in my case, choosing almost only local food products, I could have all the nutrients I need, but at the same time, I could reduce the air pollution caused by the international transportation of food. But I understand that this solution may not apply everywhere, especially in those places in the world in which there are some tough climate conditions that don't allow to produce what is needed for a complete diet. So I'm glad to be here, learning from others in this session how to reach the zero hunger goal while protecting the environment with the solution from the sharing economy. Some of these solutions may be realized individually. Others may need the support of larger communities, institutions, and health state. In my opinion, we, as individuals, can still play a role. For example, we could ask our representatives to make the survival of our planet their priority. And as the Fridays for Future initiatives are showing, there are thousands, millions of young people like me in the world that want to know, want to act, want to see action, want to learn. So I would like to conclude quoting Mahatma Gandhi. If we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. As a man changed his own nature, so does the attitude of the world change towards him. So this is how I change myself. I have realized that I'm already citizen of the world today. So I think to be ready to give a future to the planet, to me, and to all of us. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, in a meeting in Africa, I was told that when I say good morning, I should expect that the others say good morning. Let's try again. Good morning. It's great. It's just a way to wake you up. And especially, not really very effective, to help you in adopting the so-called social media guard. Do you know the social media guard? No? Go on internet, but after my speech, of course, and search for social media guard. It's a very nice instrument, unfortunately plastic-based, but we can improve it. And it's a way to oblige us to look around and go beyond our normal way of doing things just in this way. Do you know how it works? It's just a collar for dogs, you know? You can put it and it works because it obliges you to look ahead, around, going beyond what social media can do for us. Great things, but from time to time we need really to look beyond our feet, our circles, and the Sustainable Development Goals is exactly the best way that the world has ever developed to look ahead. Last week has been a very difficult week for me, with some peaks, some less nice moments, and I would use this week just to share with you some views. Last week I was in Bonn at the SDG Action Festival. Have you heard about this? This is organized by the UN, and is a gathering of people, projects, and so on about the Sustainable Development Goals. The 17 goals that have been agreed in September 2015 by all countries in the world, the highest ever reached level of consensus about what the world should be, and the commitment by all countries to implement policies to achieve the SDGs by 2030. Actually, the 169 targets in which the SDGs are designed, 22 of them should be achieved by 2020. Did you know that? Which means almost tomorrow. And it's not a typo, although some heads of state who had signed the declaration thought that it was a typo. Anyway, I was saying the 17 goals are becoming the common language around the world, and last week in Bonn, there was this big gathering organized by UN. I arrived in Bonn really, very, very excited. Why? Because the Festival of Sustainable Development that we organize in Italy every year since 2017, and we start in a couple of weeks, was selected for the, let's say, Oscar of Sustainable Development. Since last year, the UN has established this competition, and our festival was selected as nominees by the organizing committee. We didn't win. Our competitors in the category connectors were IBM and the City of New York. Maybe you have heard about this. Yes? Yeah, I think IBM won. But I'm taking these as an example to say, if one of the largest world corporations, if the municipality of one of the largest and more dynamic cities in the world competed to get something like this. I'm talking about this because I didn't get it, of course. But for a prize like this, something is happening. And this event, and I would like to thank the organizers of this event, is part of this world movement. Why is the entire world working on this? Because we are not on a sustainable path. The world is not on a sustainable path. And when I say sustainability, I'm not just referring to environmental sustainability. I'm also talking about economic and social sustainability. The OECD has recently published the projections, the forecasts for the next 40 years for the world economy. According to these forecasts, the GDP in developed countries will grow over the next 40 years by 1.75% on average. Do you believe that the capitalistic system can survive if we grow at 1.75% per year? No way. No way. Globalization was a great idea by capitalism in order to expand the markets, bringing together with the developed countries billions of people who were really underdeveloped. And it worked. Indeed, it worked on economic and social, from economic and social perspectives. But, there was a big but, of course, the lifestyle of Western countries was almost copied by the rest of the world. And we do not have 4 or 5 planets to exploit resources as we developed countries did in the past. So there is no alternative, no planet B, as someone is saying. And this declaration, the 17 goals, the 169 targets, is the rescue program that we have. Who of you have seen the semi-last movie with the Avengers, Infinity War? Who did it? How many of you have seen the last one? Okay, don't say a word because I've not yet seen it, and I am curious to know the conclusion of the story. Well, in the semi-last movie, there was the bad guy who arrived. He got all the jewels to the power of the universe to do what? To halve the number of people, just to make the system sustainable. Is this what we want to do? No. But this is the risk. In fact, the leaders of the world, in the introduction to SDGs declaration, and I would recommend you to read it, said exactly this. And we have very few years to change this. How can we do it? Innovation. Number 9, economy, of course. Number 8, energy. Number 7, fight against inequalities. Number 10, 1, and so on and so forth. But to make them really transformative, as the agenda says, they have to be addressed simultaneously. And this is the big, big difficulty. It's a mental, first of all, it's a cultural difficulty, because we are not used to think in a systemic way. We are used to look at economy, and then the society, and then the environment, and then the institutions, and we lost how the idea of how the system is interconnected. I don't have time today to develop further this idea, but please look at what these scientists are doing around the world to connect these 17 dots to develop a new system, a new paradigm. Very complex indeed, but, and I take you through my week, a lot of companies have understood that this is the only way to go. Yesterday I was in Brussels at the European Business Summit dedicated to SDGs, and 100 CEOs of big companies signed a declaration saying, we want to change the system. But not only because we are nice guys and we care about the environment and so on, but it's because this is also actually is the only business opportunity we have to grow, to fix the problems of the world, and to keep the system going. Otherwise, the 2 billion people that we could lose, according to the old projections by the Club of Rome, after reaching a peak around 2030, 8 billion people on the planet, going back to 6 billion at the end of the century, this horrible scenario could be a reality. The good news is that all over the world, scientists, economists, sociologists, and so on and so forth, are trying to understand how to implement this recovery plan. You know, like in those movies when normally aliens come to the Earth and humanity fights together against someone else. Here, the problem is that we have to fight against ourselves, or at least the way in which we have developed the system. Is it feasible? I'm not sure. But this is exactly the reason why we have to speed up to doing the right things, and we have to speed up the investments in culture, technology, and governance in order to make this plan a reality. We are not so optimistic because the size of the change, the speed of the change is really huge. The Clever Rome has recently estimated 4 different scenarios. Putting together, I draw here the chart, here the number of SDGs that we can achieve, here the number of planetary boundaries that we must respect. So in this chart, in 1980 we were here, few goals achieved, but almost all the planetary boundaries respected. In 2015 we are here, so we made some improvements, but we risk to break 4 planetary boundaries out of 9. And from here, we have 4 different scenarios. The first one is business as usual. Of course, this will continue to produce well-being for some people, but the problem is that by 2030 and even more by 2050, we will break almost all planetary boundaries. Second possible scenario, growth, growth, growth. Let's put all our money to make the GDP growing. Of course, we can speed up a little bit the achievement of some goals, but the end point is exactly the same. Third scenario, let's do more about every single SDG. Of course, we can achieve more, but we will never restore the planetary boundaries that we have broken. Fourth scenario, the only one where we simultaneously try to implement the SDGs, but changing through circular economy, through energy, conversion of systems, and so on and so forth. We try not only to avoid to damage furthermore the environment, but we try to recover what we have destroyed. And we have to do it in very short time. So in conclusion, this is a very, very difficult task. It's not only because we stop using water while we'll wash ourselves that we will save the world. And we have to do it anyway, but good thing must be done anyway. But we need big, big shifts. And this is where policy is fundamental. This is where people from different generations have to scream, to ask to change the world, because we must really save the world. And this is the only opportunity we have. This is the last generation, as you know, that can try to avoid this. It's a huge task, but it's the only one that I think would deserve our effort, changing our life, changing the life of everybody, and changing the quality of our environment. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Buongiorno a tutti. On behalf of Intesa San Paolo and Intesa San Paolo Innovation Center, it's my pleasure really to welcome you on this event today in Seeds&Chips, which I think represents an important milestone in our journey towards a new and positive development model, and especially an opportunity for entrepreneurs and emerging innovators that are here today. So I'm happy to share with you why Intesa San Paolo, why a bank, decided to support this event, and why we are so strongly committed on the topic of circular economy and accelerate the transition from a linear economy to a circular one, which I strongly believe it is the best way to connect all the SDGs. And also the unique role that the food system can play in terms of impacts, opportunities, and benefits. So, as stated by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, the circular economy is a new economic paradigm, as I said, underpinned by a transition towards renewable energies. Circular business models follow these three very simple principles. So design out waste and pollution from the beginning, keep products and material in use, and the last one, but the most important, regenerate natural systems. So try to regenerate our natural capital of the planet. We can say that the circular economy is the answer, actually, to the traditional industrial model, take, make, dispose, where finite resources are strongly used, and they used to be considered as unlimited sources. So products, for example, are not designed to long last, or, for example, to be easy to repair. So in this context, businesses across the world are dealing with several risks, such as raw material price volatility, scarcity of resources, and new consumer behaviors. On the contrary, the circular economy can mitigate these linear risks and create opportunities in terms of resource efficiency and profitability gains. As a bank, we used to assess and manage risks while creating financial returns, of course. I believe that the financial sector should play a crucial role in unlocking opportunities for young entrepreneurs, for SMEs, and big corporates. For Intesa Sanpaolo, I'm happy to say that the circular economy, it's a matter of strategic risk management, not only just sustainability or green strategy, for example. So, taking inspiration from the leadership of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation and other global partners, such as Danone, that is here today with us, upon the commitment of our CEO, we believe that the circular economy is fundamental for granting the future, not only of the economy, but the humanity and planet itself. This is why the circular economy is a key strategic pillar also in our industrial plan, in our business plan 2018-2021, as an important step to become a positive impact bank. As first concrete actions, Intesa Sanpaolo recently launched a circular economy lab in Milan, together with our shareholder, Fondazione Cariplo, with a mission to become the Italian hotspot for innovative circular projects, working with startups, SMEs, and emerging innovators. And moreover, we recently launched also a circular economy plafond that is a 5 billion euro credit facilities for entrepreneurs in order to finance directly projects that are compliant with these 5 circular criteria, as you can see. This is parallel to other innovative activities that the bank is running, such as the support to the research Cities and Circular Economy for Food, presented by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation during the last World Economic Forum in Davos, 2019. So, especially in the food system, the circular economy represents a huge opportunity to reconnect business and society. Leveraging on cities as a catalyst for change, for a positive change. We know that the way we currently produce food and manage the resulting organic waste generates significant negative economic, health, and environmental impacts. If nothing changes, by 2050, the food system alone will have used almost 2/3 of the remaining global carbon budget to keep the world under 1.5 degrees increase. So for another interesting statistic, for every dollar spent on food, society pays $2 in health, environmental, and economic costs. These negative impacts of the food system are directly linked to its linear nature. It is highly wasteful and relies on massive inputs of chemicals, water, and fossil fuels. In the linear food system, a very high proportion of food flows into cities, as you can see, where it is processed and consumed, of course, creating organic waste. But in cities, only a very small proportion of valuable nutrients, of organic waste, gets looped back into a productive use, less than 2%, as you can see. So together with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation and other partners of the food system, we identify an opportunity to design a food system that will work in the long term, a food system designed as a carbon sink instead of a carbon source, one that improves rather than degrades soil, and one that supports biodiversity, why not? In this vision, food production is diverse and inclusive, with a significant proportion of food sourced locally, near the place where it will be consumed. So for example, let's think about all the urban farming practices. Avoidable food waste is simply designed out, and byproducts are revenue streams instead of costs. Achieving this vision would allow cities to move from being a passive consumer to active catalyst of change, and generate an annual benefit of $2.7 trillion by 2050. So I think that the time is now for businesses to shape a better and a new food system. Many local and global efforts to improve the food system have been initiated so far in the past decade. However, none can on their own provide sufficient impact to solve this systemic challenge. So in this spirit, I wish you a very productive day here, and I really do hope that new ideas of cooperation and collaboration will flourish. Thank you.
Hello and buongiorno. Today I will try to inspire in you a simple principle that, beside being a personal belief, is also a credo of our company, which is called Autogrill. And I also will try to put some lights in some of the dark scenarios that Mr. Giovannini proposed a few minutes ago. I think that there are good things that we all can do. Who is Autogrill? Autogrill, for the one that don't know about, it's a multinational. It's a company of 4.7 billion sales, working in 32 countries. What we do? We do restaurants in airports, motorways, railways. So we are, I would say, a welcome company. Our job is to provide engagement, provide relax, provide food, and provide, let's say, well-being to the people traveling. We have a credo, as I said, in the company. which is also the name of the presentation, which is Start Somewhere. I believe that all what we have seen from Mr. Giovannini will happen. It's undeniable. But I also believe that we can do something, and we can start doing something. I will try to show you what we do, not as, I would say, to show how good we are, but just to say, really, everybody can do something, and it's important that we go. Why we do it? We do it because, first of all, we live in a very, very complex environment as a company. We serve more than 1 billion customers around the world in 32 countries. I used to say we sell pizzas, coffee, and sandwiches, so very simple things. But at the same time, those things have to meet the consumer in India, in US, in Italy, in several places. And we cannot have a too bold approach, because you need to speak with each of those customers. So why we do it? First of all, we do it because as a management group for the company, we believe in it, but also because we do business. And to do business, we need to navigate into brackets, into a very, very complex system. And being the leader in this industry, we also believe that it's important to show the way, to find new routes, to find new way to do our business to the profit of all the stakeholders. We have a vision in the company that I think is very, very close to what Mr. Giovanni was saying. For us, business means durability, and durability means sustainability. Sustainability sometimes is a misunderstood word. In reality, it comes from sustain, which is the pedal of the piano that help the note to last longer. So for a company to last, besides making money, is extremely important. That's the reason why we believe that sustainability is a way to do business, or is the way to do business. But not only. In reality, there are also some more, how can I say, practical things. Millennials, Generation Z, are a generation that attach much more importance to the purpose of a company than to the product of the company. It's more and more important why you do it, and then how you do it. You should do it well, but you should do it also for something. That's extremely important. We see in our business people asking our role in the society, not only to provide them, again, pizzas, coffee, and things like that. It was totally different from my generation. My generation was a generation of products. We need to have products. We need to consume products. I think that this time is over, and what we call millennials today are 30-plus-year-old, so have a family, work, and they have all the challenges that we all have in our life. So that's the reason why we do it, to survive and to continue to be in the market. To do it, we did it with, a plan, because it's not inventing, it's not just start somewhere, but you need also a logic behind. And our plan is called A Future Roadmap. It's a roadmap that speaks about people, speaks about products, speaks about the planet, speaks about things that will impact the life of we as people and we as consumers. Now, let me talk about a little bit the last part, the planet, that is more linked to what we saw here. 3 things are important for us, and with this I will try to show you how anyone, any company can do it. Garbage, so waste, food waste, the food that we throw away, and the recycling. These are the 3 elements that we believe are fundamental, again, for doing business in our sector and with our stakeholders. Three examples that may help. The first is a video.
Every journey, short or long, is a story to be told. And when we decide to stop, there's no better companion than a good coffee. But have you ever wondered what could happen next? It's precisely from this coffee that another journey, a new surprising story is born. The story of Was Coffee. Collected and recovered, the grounds of hundreds of thousands of cups of coffee served in our stores start a new path of transformation. Thanks to an unprecedented combination of research, technology, and materials, the coffee grounds are mixed with natural resins and then pressed to create an innovative, sustainable, and 100% natural product. Because innovation is born from the most unexpected of combinations. Was Coffee is a circular journey crossing the territory in a path of excellence and sustainability. A journey from the recovery of the coffee grounds to the manufacture of materials and to the design and furnishing of our stores, where you can meet, once again, the pleasure of a good coffee. The story of Was Coffee is a story that from cup to counter has a double thread line. The passion for innovation and our commitment to a sustainable future.
This is a way, it's a patent and it's a trademark that has been invented by us, starting from the most used product we have in our company, the coffee. Again, I don't want to, it's not an advertising spot, it's just to say that everywhere you can do it. A second example comes from Schiphol Airport, Amsterdam, working with a partner, the Verspilling Fabrik. That means a company that reuse wasted vegetables and wasted project. We created a concept. With this company, we have now a store that use only wasted product coming from the supermarkets or other retailers. Everything is made like that. Results, compared to what we had before, plus 17% of sales, because people care and customer understood what we were doing. Food is good, but it has also a purpose. Last one, it's a bit more organized, is in US. In US, we aim to be very, very close to the local community, and so through a sort of red line that links all our airport, we work with a local organization for the food donation program. We would waste 1.6 billion pounds food. At that time, is no more wasted because we give it to local organization that fight against hunger and poverty. And it's another way to be part of the system and to restitute, into brackets, a little bit of what you do to the community. Why? Because if the community recognizes that you are useful for the community, you will stay there and you will continue to do business. So this is our way. Again, I think if I have to close, it's first of all, we usually say that we think global and we cook local. At the same time, start somewhere means have a global think, but also empower to do very different things in the different part of the world. Doing something today is probably more important to have a big plan, but maybe tomorrow. That's our way. Within an integrated vision, it's our red line, the fil rouge that link all the activity, empowering local action, and again, other important thing, working with partners, because it's not a one company challenge, it's a challenge of a society, and so all the partners are welcome to contribute and to work together. Thank you.
Experts have shown that it takes anywhere between 500 years and 1,000 years to develop 1 inch of soil.
That's what it usually looks like at 6 months old, you know what I mean?
And we as people depend on the soil, so we have to be very careful in how we manage the soils. According to the Food and Agriculture of the United Nations, we had 60 years of soils, or 60 years of harvest left globally. During different eras throughout history, we were careless as human beings. Urbanization, one, the impact of cars, manufacturing in the industrial eras, a lot of the practices of farmers, we are contaminating the soils. If we're going to exist as a human race, it's our responsibility to sustain those things. As a human being, it's important for me to grow my food in the most natural state because those nutrients and everything that's coming out of the ground is essentially in my body. I'm a part of that soil. The next generation and generations to come, they have to be able to get their food. They have to be able to build on the soil and rely on it. In 60 years, my hope is that they won't have to worry about where their food is coming from or if the soils are so contaminated, could they depend on it? We have to adapt policies. We have to start composting. We have to start managing soil properly. We have to look at year 61 and year 62 today. Hello, my name is Passion Murray, and I am the creator and founder of Detroit Dirt. The whole concept of Detroit Dirt was started about 10 years ago, and I live in the automotive capital, Detroit, and we were sending a lot of resources to the landfill, and so we wanted to create a social, economical, and environmentally model that was going to impact Detroit. But when the media started getting a hold of my story, that kind of propelled me or accelerated me to be a part of a lot of organizations and initiatives around the world. But at Detroit Dirt, our focus was within the automotive community to get them to look at food waste because we feed thousands of people in that city and we're sending food waste constantly to the landfills. And so in the beginning, it was more about farming and aligning with farmers to look at soil contamination and remediation problems. But then along the way, as I started working with the United Nations and other organizations such as the MIT Media Lab, where I'm a fellow, I started pushing the low carbon economy. Why? Because when you send food waste to the landfills, those greenhouse gas emissions end up causing warming issues. So I wanted to really focus in on aligning with organizations, in particular the UN partnerships, and getting communities to start replicating models that would actually reduce those carbon emissions, but at the same time focus in on recovering soils. Now, is composting important? Sure, but I'm like 7th or 8th on the list. If we can actually start looking at the food systems and managing them properly and making sure that we look at the energy embedded, the transportation, how we manage food, how much is being wasted, we could actually take those dollars and invest them in the low carbon economy. We hear a lot of people talking about the circular economy, but my focus is the low carbon economy. Carbon is mismanaged, food systems are mismanaged. We have to start looking at how to manage these systems because the circular closed loop models are a reflection of the circular economy, but it's about finding and making sure companies, communities, and corporations are all working together for the greater good. In the United States, we send about 52 million tons of food waste to the landfills. 1 in 7, 1 in 8 Americans are food insecure. These statistics and data, it makes no sense to me. Why would we continue to send food waste to the landfill and not look at the core of the problem? right? If we're not managing carbon properly, if it's not stored, we're sending it to the landfill. We have hundreds of landfills in the country. We have to find systems that are going to replace these landfills, right? So if you look at that 5.6 billion that can be saved annually, we can invest that back into the economy. We started the Detroit Dirt Foundation. Why? Because young children, they are the future. We believe that designing curriculums and modules for different age levels and groups. I speak at universities in K-8 and K-12 schools all over the country, now all over the world. It's very important for me to design curriculums to get these young people to see themselves in the future and taking a position on climate action. Soil restoration and health are one and the same, right? That bacteria that's inside of your gut is the same bacteria that's in the ground. That microbial community is a part of you. So this is bigger than, you know, we're constantly talking about the circular economy and the low carbon economy, but we need to be thinking about our health as well. What comes out of the ground is essentially a part of you. So it's education and awareness is the key to the future around this. We have to get people to change culturally. I'm a part of a consulting group called the Culture of Carbon, and our focus is basically to get individuals, corporations, everybody to start thinking about how we need to change independently at home as well as in these corporations, and thinking about our health, our children, and the future around all these issues. I don't have very much time, but I do want to talk a little bit about what I'm going to be doing with the UN and the UN partnerships. We're looking at models that can be replicated all around the world and using technologies that will actually help us mitigate as well as recover soils. And so this particular site is in Detroit, and we're going to be expanding throughout the city and diverting, creating biofuels as well as compost and byproducts that will come from these systems. This is one particular system, which is the end vessel technology. What we essentially will do is divert as much food waste as we can, capture that food waste, and then make byproducts. Can this be done on a grassroots level? Absolutely. Can this be done, you know, with millions of dollars of investment? Absolutely. You can compost at home, you can compost as a corporation, as a farm, it doesn't matter. We all need to be thinking about composting. We created these byproducts about 4 or 5 years ago, and what we're doing is taking that same food waste that would essentially come from a General Motors and the manure that comes from the Detroit Zoological Society, and we're creating compost and we're distributing that wholesale and retail now. As I've been on this journey, we've had a lot of media and a lot of press talking about this, which is awesome. But what's more important is getting people to think about their cultural behavior, right? Within our culture, wherever we live in the world, we need to be thinking about how can we be a solution instead of adding to this problem. This particular picture, I'm going to end and conclude. When I first started this, we wanted to look at how in a city like Detroit, because it's so industrial, how do we get the automotive communities to start looking at why we need to be recycling food waste? Because they were focusing on steels, plastics, and other materials. But as we continue to think about how to reinvent a city and the resurgence of a city, they gave me an opportunity and a platform to start talking about how to make byproducts from the waste stream. And this is on our current site, and this is really a product that's made up of food waste coming from corporations, manure, herbivore manure coming from the Detroit Zoological Society, and community efforts. So this particular picture, it may look like just some regular soil or compost, but really it's about a community of people coming together to make a product that's going to help with soil contamination, mitigating, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but creating byproducts out of something that's normally called waste, but actually it's a resource. So what I want you to think about is your behavior on a day-to-day. How much are you wasting? Do an audit on your own life and what you're contributing. Are you helping to eliminate these problems, or are you a part of the problem? But our own carbon footprint, as well as the cities that we live in and the communities that we live in, we have to think about how to reduce carbon, how to manage systems properly, and contributing to the circular economy. Thank you for your time.
I will be talking today about number 9. Let's get this working. There we go. The circular economy. Luigi already talked about it. The circular economy is being adopted more and more widely. We see things like benign chemistry in desk chairs. We see it in carpet tiles. We see things like lights or even construction materials being sold as a service. But interestingly enough, when we think about food, food is lagging, which I find astonishing. I mean, what is more existential than the one product that we actually ingest? And then if we look at the products that are typically being used as examples when we talk about circular economy in food, most of them are actually redirecting waste streams or side streams into new products. Now, don't get me wrong, I think this is essential. If we look at the state of things today, we need that, and we need that urgently. But a question to ask ourselves is that truly circular? Are we, if we do that, really resolving the underlying systemic issue? Or are we just delaying the decay, or are we just doing less bad? Are we actually moving towards doing good? So you saw this before. So if we look at the food system today, it's clearly broken. The linear food system has brought a lot of good things, but more and more we're seeing that it is reaching its limits. And if we look at the future, we look at, for instance, population growth, this will only exacerbate. For example, this indeed already quoted by Luigi from the recent publication by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, every dollar generates $2 in cost. Now, another one, as astonishing in my opinion, is every calorie that we create currently actually costs us 13.3 calories to produce. So what we've done is we've created a food system that indeed might be, for sure, is very complex. It might be very efficient, but a question to ask ourselves is it effective? Now, I think that when we look at circular food, we need a systemic solution, and we need to go back to the drawing board to achieve it. We need to move from efficiency to effectiveness, to a food system that actually does good and has a positive social, ecological, and economical impact by design, which is my simplest definition of what a circular economy for food needs to look like. Now, some think that is overwhelming and that we're locked into this giant system and complex system that we have. But let's remember, the best and most elegant example of a complex adaptive system out there, nature, has 3.8 billion years of real life experience. The industrial food system, if we take this lens, is a mere blink of an eye. So how can we be bogged down by that mere blink in an eye? Now, to jumpstart that transition, I'm going to share with you today 4 things that we need to focus on. And as we go through them, I'll quickly also highlight some of the ways that we're actually putting them into action. First, what we need is common language, a simple but also a comprehensive definition of what circular food actually is. if you ask 10 people today what circular food is, you will get 10 different answers. To the point that every student that takes his or her MBA in circular economy starts off with writing a 2,000-word essay on circular food and the definition of circularity. And nobody gets a perfect score on this. And as circular economy and circular food is becoming more commonplace, as it's becoming more known to the general public, this is becoming even more important. Because on one hand side, we need to ensure that we can leverage the momentum and the power of everyone. But on the other hand side, as it becomes commonplace, there's also a risk that the value will be eroded and that we lose the essence, and it ultimately becomes no more than just another buzzword for recycling 2.0. Second thing is a design guide. I'm one of the few scholars in circular economy that actually focuses purely on food. I'm an R&D leader in a 26 billion euro food company, but frankly, I feel inadequate. I cannot, in a simple, comprehensible way, explain to our teams, the 2,000 people in product development that come to work every day to design and develop the food of the future, I cannot simply explain to them how to make this more circular. So the second priority needs to be to define a design guide for circular food. There's a design guide for circular products, but the food system is different. We need a simple set of principles that allows us to leverage the passion and power of all those developing food, from large CPG to small ventures, of which many of them are here during these few days. Because only then, when we start actually giving people these means and start experimenting, we can start shaping the future of food and also the future of the system. So what we are doing in this respect is working with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation and taking the report that I just quoted from to the next step. And in June, we'll be launching the mobilization phase. And as a part of that mobilization phase, we will be developing together with partners this design guide so that we can actually mobilize that power. Thirdly, metrics. There is today no easily accessible on one hand side, on the other hand side, comprehensive metrics. And the circular economy is a complex adaptive system, so setting boundaries is arbitrary. In other words, if we focus, let's say, on two indicators, for example, carbon dioxide and water consumption, we might, with the best intentions of the world, actually be having perverse negative effects on other indicators that we're not taking into account. Let's say, for example, biodiversity or labor risks. So we need to have an easily accessible set of metrics, because only then we will be able to understand where we are on a journey, to track progress, and also to start impacting decisions in a boardroom by being able to compare different cases and different options. And to do this, we've been working together with IDEO in the Circular Economy for Food Collab, and from it worked with an amazing startup called How Good that has a tremendous database on impact, both socially and ecologically, of the food system. And we're developing metrics that actually allow us to do exactly that, to put in a formula of a product and immediately see its impact, but also guide us to the places where we can make the biggest impact to actually improve those products. And last but not least, we need iconic examples. It was already quoted today, Schiphol Airport. If we look at the example of Philips, the light bulbs, and Schiphol Airport, what that's done when Schiphol bought light as a service and in press said, we don't care whether it runs on electricity, you can run it on red wine. All we care is having light. What that has done for the adoption of circular economy and similar examples in other industries for the adoption, it is massive. Circular economy, I said it a few times today, it's complex. I talked about complex adaptive systems theories. I talked about benign chemistry, technical nutrients, biological nutrients. I'm standing here before you selling a future of abundance in which consumption actually has a regenerative impact. All of that feels audacious, dreamy, maybe even spaced out to some. At least it's complex. But through these iconic examples, the circular economy has become tangible. The circular economy has become real. And they've done a lot in their industries, but it's lacking in our industries. We need circular food that can be that icon that we can all rally around, that can help take this audacious, complex dream and make it real. So here we are joined with Google Food Lab and the Lexicon to develop a call for action, putting circular economy on our plates through the Google Food Accelerator. And we will be launching more about this later this year, so stay tuned. So to conclude, let's go back to where we started. Food is lagging when it comes to the adoption of circular economy. We need solutions that solve the systemic underlying issues and are regenerative by design. There is no truly circular food on the market today, but that's about to change. In a joint effort, because this systemic challenge is way too big for any one company, any one NGO, any one organization, any one person to solve on their own. We need to work together as activists and change agents. You will be seeing initiatives being announced in the next coming month on all 4 points: common language, the design guide, metrics, and iconic examples. So join us in putting circularity on our plates.
Hello everyone. My name is Max, and I'm the head of Share the Meal. I want to tell you, yes, the story about this program, but the story it's the story of individuals, and I want to tell you the story of individual choices through our story at Share the Meal. So, to start, hunger is the #1 health risk worldwide. You know it, there is an SDG dedicated to zero hunger. By 2030, we need to reach it. Extremely difficult and challenging goal, especially because, as you can see, over 800 million people are still malnourished and hungry today. But what we saw in 2015 when we were looking for ideas was that, yes, the number of hungry people is abnormal, also because 100 million are kids. But there are 20 smartphone users for each hungry child in the world. 20. And it costs $50 to feed a child for an entire day through the United Nations World Food Program. So theoretically, hunger could be almost solved tomorrow, at least from a mathematical perspective, even if very few of the smartphone users were donating a small amount. So we said, okay, why don't we try and make it happen? So apart from a lot of laughs from everywhere, we tried and we launched Share the Meal, which is a mobile app to do crowdfunding against hunger. You can download it for free, and you can make a very small donation, $50, 40 euro cents, to feed a child for an entire day, and you can select where you want your money to go, and then the WFP, the World Food Program, will give your money exactly to the program that you choose. It was launched in 2015, and we had the very lucky shot of getting interest from the tech industry, from CNN, media, and everywhere else, but the biggest thing that we got were users. As you can see bottom there, there are thousands and thousands of people that not only are using the app, but they are also saying that they like it. So that was a very good indication of something happening. Since then, 36 million meals have been shared, so almost 20 million US dollars. That means 1 meal every 3 seconds, which is kind of insane, at least when I think about that number. And there were almost 1.5 million people that have downloaded the app so far. 100,000 active donors, and most of them, guess what, are millennials. And this is 1.5 million people that decided to try and to give it a try on what they could do with the object that we touched the most during our day, what they could do to actually have a positive impact. Thanks to these people, we have helped in 16 different countries the various operations of the World Food Program, going from Yemen, Haiti, Bangladesh, and many more. What we have done is extremely simple. We just made it almost possible for you to donate with one tap on your smartphone. So we tried really to start product first. So you can donate with Apple and Google Pay. You can do subscription. There's gamification, team giving, everything. We tried to make giving as good as, let's say, playing a game or surfing on Facebook. Why giving to charity should be that bad? And we said, OK, instead of investing in marketing, we're going to invest in product. And so we added all these features. But the best one we added was actually to allow you to donate as a subscriber, but then to link you with a family need so that you can actually know what this family bought for the same amount of money that you donated. So currently, we can tell you, thank you very much for your donation. The family of Miriam in Yemen was able to buy nuts and broccoli, for example. This is because we do believe that the future of charities is kind of in our hands, but it has to be transparent. No one believes anymore that money really reaches a place or that you can solve hunger if you donate 50 cents. And this is just because there is a lack of trust. But now data are free, in a way, and the humanitarian assistance is done by cash mostly, and not only with food. And so now it is really possible to track what has been done with your money. So slowly but surely we are trying to get there in order for every single one of you to make the choice to feed exactly a child for a day, or at least you can know. So then we started doing a bit of marketing, a lot of visibility for free, thanks to like really a lot of partners, and even more, we collaborated with other companies. So now we are a partner of Careem, which is also Uber, in the Middle East. So every ride you make, you get some loyalty point, and they get donated to feed a child in need. You can also decide to get a free ride, but a lot of people actually donate to feed a child in need. So both Careem and Share the Meal is extremely happy. We have collaborated with Google Play. We have collaborated with the UN City so that when you go and eat at a canteen, you can also add a share meal, so that when you just pay with your badge or whatever it is, you can add a meal to that. And we are collaborating and trying to convince many, many more companies to do that. Because yes, we have created an app, but not that many people will download an app. But we all use, I don't know, food delivery things, or we all buy food, and wouldn't it be great to have this ecosystem of way to share with someone that doesn't have it? And I want to just close it to say, yes, we are collaborating with companies. Yes, we are part of the United Nations World Food Program. But this all happened because there were individuals believing in it. There were 1.5 million people downloading an app. There was someone working at Careem and Uber that said, we need to do something good with this platform that we have. There was actually someone at the UN also giving us the chance to empower millennials to take action with their phone. What I'm trying to make here is the point that personal auditing is important. There are like a lot of, not even millennials, but extremely young people in the room. The choices you're going to make in the next 10 years are going to be the choices that will impact your life. What you're going to decide to study is what you're going to possibly be working on, and your first job is also going to be important. And I think it's up to all of us to have kind of broader cautions and really try to change the world day by day, action by action, knowing who we are and trying to get there. All right. Thank you very much.